Hi, I'm Dr. Heidi Orr, and welcome to my second episode of Busting Astrology Myths for the Discerning Witch. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the rising sign as a mask that we wear. So, the myth is that the rising sign is a mask that we wear. And for a long time, I thought that this was true. I read it in so many different astrology books, and that's just what I thought the rising sign was about. The truth is that the rising sign represents our sense of self, and it's not a mask that we wear. And in this video, I'm going to demonstrate why. The reason why this myth perpetuates could be that there are some misunderstandings about what the first house represents and how that relates to the rising sign, and also misunderstanding about the precision of the rising sign. First, a little about the rising sign. So the rising sign is the zodiac sign that's on the horizon at the moment of your birth. It also determines the first house cusp in your astrology chart and the arrangement of houses in your astrology chart. It's also the fastest moving object. I'll show you an example. But this one is based on the Placidus system, which is based on our perspective from Earth and takes the Earth's tilt, wobble into consideration. But here, I've marked out the rising sign of this person's chart. It's at 24 degrees, some odd arc minutes. I can't read it, it's too tiny, of Taurus. I made a red circle around it here, and there's an arrow. So when you're looking at this kind of chart based on this house system, that is where you'll find the rising sign. You'll also see a line that extends to the right from that, and that is the first house cusp. So the zodiac sign and degree determine the first house cusp in an astrology chart, in a Placidus astrology chart. Here's another example of an astrology chart, this one based on the whole sign house system. So in this system, every house has only one zodiac sign. In the other example I showed, there's two zodiac signs in a house. But in this chart, the rising sign is indicated with this symbol that looks like a, well, to me it looks like a spider web, but it's actually the steering wheel of a ship. It's not a helm, whatever the steering wheel of a ship is, it's that. And it's in the first house. In this one, it's not, unlike the other chart, it's not the rising sign doesn't determine the first house cusp, but the rising sign is in the first house. The next thing is the speed that it takes things to move around the zodiac. So, for example, the sun takes about a year to go through the entire zodiac, spending about 30 days in each sign. The moon takes it about 29 and a half-ish days to go through the whole zodiac. Jupiter, 12 years to go through the whole zodiac, so it spends 1 year in each sign. Saturn, 29 years to go through the zodiac, and Pluto, 248 years. It's a long time. Other planets take longer. The rising sign, though, goes through the entire zodiac in 24 hours. It is fast compared to all these other things. Next, I want to demonstrate the fast nature of the rising sign by showing you a series of charts that I've created that help to illustrate this. So we'll just jump in. All right, so these are two charts here of the rising sign of August 22nd, 2025. So the chart on the left is 1:34 p.m. And I've circled the rising sign again and put a little arrow there to draw your attention to that. The rising sign at 1:34 p.m. on August 22nd, 2025 is 24 degrees, 29 arc minutes Scorpio. An hour later, the chart on the right, 2:34 p.m. on August 22nd, 2025. So an hour later, the rising sign has gone from 24 degrees, 29 arc minutes of Scorpio to 6 degrees, 40 arc minutes of Sagittarius. So it's already partway through the next sign. Now, at 1:34 a.m. on August 23rd, so this is now like 12 hours after that very first one, the rising sign is now at 27 degrees, 47 arc minutes of Gemini. And then 12 hours later, 1:34 p.m., so this is 24 hours after that very first chart where the rising sign was in Scorpio. The rising sign of this chart is back in Scorpio at 25 degrees, 15 minutes. So the rising sign is very quick. When you're looking at an astrology chart, it's the fastest moving object in the chart. And on average, the rising sign changes degree about every 4 minutes. And it's the most personal object, or one of the most personal objects in the chart. So now I'm going to show you the speed of the rising sign compared to the speed of the sun and the moon in this chart. So we're looking at these same two charts we looked at earlier, August 22nd, 2025 at 1:34 p.m. on the left, and August 22nd, 2:34 p.m. on the right. So at 1:34 p.m., the chart on the left, the rising sign was at 24 degrees, 29 arc minutes Scorpio, and the chart on the right, an hour later, the rising sign is at 6 degrees, 40 arc minutes Sagittarius. But check out the sun. So looking at the sun, the red circle with a red dot in it, on the chart on the left at 1:34 p.m., it's at 0 degrees, 0 arc minutes of Virgo. The chart on the right, the sun is at 0 degrees, 2 arc minutes of Virgo. So in that hour, the sun moved 2 arc minutes versus the rising sign, which moved about 12 degrees. So the rising sign is super fast compared to other objects in the chart. We can also look at the moon as an example. So on the left chart at 1:34 p.m., the moon is at 25 degrees, 12 arc minutes of Leo. And on the right, it's 25 degrees, 44 arc minutes of Leo. So it's moved a little further than the sun, but not as much compared to the rising sign, which is just really quick. Next, we're looking at charts that are 24 hours apart. So the initial chart, August 22nd, 2025 at 1:34 p.m. on the left, and on the right, August 23rd, 2025 at 1:34 p.m. We can see that the rising sign on the left, 24 degrees, 29 arc minutes Scorpio, and on the right, 25 degrees, 16 minutes, 16 arc minutes Scorpio. So the rising sign has made its way back into the same zodiac sign. And then checking out the sun. So again, the sun on the left here is 0 degrees, 0 arc minutes Virgo, compared to the sun on the right, 0 degrees, 58 minutes arc 58 arc minutes Virgo. It's almost getting ready to bump into 1 degree of Virgo, while the rising sign went around the whole zodiac in that amount of time. You can check out the moon as well. So the moon on the left, 25 degrees Leo, 12 arc minutes, and the moon on the right, 8 degrees, 10 arc minutes Virgo. So the moon is, kind of dashing its way around a little faster. But the rising sign, again, is like lightning fast. Lightning fast? I don't know. It's fast. So, another thing to know to dispel this myth that the rising sign is a mask that we wear is to know about the first house and what that represents. Because if the rising sign determines the first house cusp, it would be very important to know what the first house is about. Here's an example of a Western astrology chart that doesn't have any birth information, but really just shows the zodiac and its correlation with various houses. So every zodiac sign covers 30 degrees of the zodiac, and the zodiac is 360 degrees, right? It takes the sun 1 year to move through the entire zodiac. And the first house, so the rising sign, lets us know the first house cusp. The first house cusp has to do with Aries, or the topics of Aries. Each of these wedges represent house topics or topics of life, and they correlate to the various zodiac signs. So again, the first house is about Aries topics. So Aries is all about I am. And this is a quote from a book called Keywords for Astrology. So this house, or Aries, is about the basic mood in life. Could be our outer appearance, our type, our personality, our vital energy, our awareness in life, our physical constitution, our vitality, expression of ourself, our temperament, our power of assertion, our independence, and a way of approaching people and plans. So the first house, the house of Aries topics, is really about our core sense of self. These characteristics are present at birth. It's our sense of self. And if you think about the rising sign being the cusp of that first house, that's when we take our first breath, and that determines what sign is going to be in that first house. It's characteristics, again, that are present at birth. So we've taken our first breath, we now have a body. I am. We're selfish, self-centered little babies, demanding attention, and that you could consider this like a little narcissist, kind of. That everything is about us, 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 me, 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 and it's not a mask that we wear. These are characteristics that are present at birth. So it's not something that we grow into, unlike the sun. The sun is a goal of our life. It's what we grow into. But the rising sign is present at birth. So it's not a mask we wear. When we're 4 months old, we're not saying, well, this is how I'm going to present myself to the world. No, we just are. We're the way we are. And then we get conditioned, and that's a whole other story. So given that the rising sign is the quickest moving object in the chart, the most sensitive object in an astrology chart, and determines this first house cusp, the first house, which is I am, our sense of self, the rising sign represents our sense of self, the core of who we are, characteristics that are present at birth. So it's not a mask that we wear. And I hope that the information that I shared in my nerdy academic-y kind of way with these different charts helps really demonstrate how quickly this object moves and how it determines our first house cusp, and a little bit of information about what the first house is about to paint a picture about the rising sign as our sense of self. And it's not a mask that we wear. In my next episode of Busting Astrology Myths for the Discerning Witch, I'm going to talk about manifesting at the full moon and this is a topic that continues to kind of light me up in the popular astrology world. Yeah, so this will be one of a series of videos about moon phases. And yeah, stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a better understanding of the rising sign now, and look forward to getting into the manifesting at the full moon myth next time. Cheers.